Brighton's finest.
Jeff Hemmings.
Jeff Hemmings.
This is
Juice 107.2.
Brighton's finest.
So the new album came out a few weeks back, and it's your fourth album, isn't it? Beautiful People Will Ruin Your Life. Already made it to the top 5, as all your other albums have, I believe.
Yeah, apart from the first.
Apart from the first one, okay. So this one, I understand that you're kind of all dispersed now to the 3 wins, I should say, 3 corners. Tours in Norway, Dan's in LA, I believe.
I'm in LA.
You're in LA.
Dan's in London. Yeah.
Dan's in London. Okay, so you were basically working, preparing for this album by basically sending files to each other. Is that? I mean, how did it work this time around?
Not really. No. I mean, the third album was kind of similar. As I was spending a lot of time in Los Angeles as well. A good portion of the album I wrote in LA, and then I would fly to Oslo. I think I made 4 trips to Oslo, and we would write in Todd's studio, and that's how we kind of came up with the rest of the album, really. So it was between those 2 parts. Between LA and Oslo was the writing, and then we all got together over the course of about 6 weeks in London and recorded them with Mark and Catherine.
That's Catherine. What's her last name? Catherine
Marks.
And she did the Big Moon album, didn't she?
She did, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. She's really good. So, Tord, how long has he been in Norway? When did he go back there?
2 years ago, something like that.
Okay, and he basically set up a family there. He's got a family there, basically.
Yeah, he most certainly does.
Because he's Norwegian originally, but you guys met in England at university.
Yeah, an arts college in Liverpool.
Right.
That's how we all met.
Yeah.
Tord was in about 55 bands at the time, and somehow we were lucky enough to keep him in ours.
So was it you and Dan who were together at the time making music?
Yeah, formed a bond over going out and getting completely wasted in Liverpool, and we wanted to start a band, and yeah, Tord came on board.
Is that what you do with your student money?
Yeah, that is pretty much exactly what I did.
Excellent. In time-honoured fashion, of course. Mm-hmm. Everybody does that, I believe.
I believe it's kind of like
it's a ritual,
prerequisite, especially if you're doing a Bachelor of Arts.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so when you first went into a studio, just going back into time a bit, when you first went into a studio as you 3 and started making a noise, how did that? Do you remember that? Do you remember that that moment or that time, or was that like a distant memory now?
Yeah, well, we were lucky enough in the arts college we went to, Lipper. They had lots of kind of rehearsal rooms, so we'd book those out and go in there. And I had some awful songs back then, and we would play them. But one of the first kind of positive memories about those days was kind of when we kind of put moving to New York together, and it felt really great, and it felt like we'd kind of found our sound. We used to have a guitar player who moved back to California, and we kind of replaced his guitar parts with harmonies, and that's kind of when I feel like the Wombats was kind of born.
Yeah. So you're basically a 3-piece. Is that how you work it on stage? On stage at the moment?
Yeah, there's just 3 of us on stage. We have thought about getting other musicians, but it's just easier to use some technology instead.
Sure. Okay, so it's quite amazing, isn't it, that everybody can kind of live in different parts of the world but still sort of function as a band, because basically it is your career, isn't it? It's what you do. It's your life, how you earn a living.
Yeah, well, I mean, until we get some decent holograms made, we're always going to have to be together in order to actually tour.
But you see enough of each other on tour and everything else, don't you?
Yeah, and I think there might be something in, the fact that we all are so dispersed now.
Yeah.
I feel like bands that don't live together maybe stay together for longer.
What's LA like? How are you finding that?
Yeah, I love it. It's a ludicrous place.
Yeah.
I kind of fit right in, really.
Brighton's finest.
Bringing the artists closer to you.
Glitterbug obviously featured some synths on it, and I think I don't know what was the thinking behind sort of kind of reverting back, I suppose, to what you did in the first place, the kind of pure kind of rock sound that you always did at the beginning.
I just feel like we shouldn't have done like a full-on synthy pop album. I don't think that would have served us overly well, even though there are still synths prevalent on the album. I guess that
it says on this note I've got here, it says I'm not sure if this is you. I think this is you saying this.
Yeah, it is me, but I wouldn't read that.
Okay.
It's totally
Sure.
useless. But it was just more kind of. I thought that it would be cool to kind of make a more organic album, leaning more on analog things than technology, more than like production wizardry and things like that. And I kept on saying, let's try and do like a Wombats version of In Rainbows, just how timeless that album sounds. I wanted to give our album the opportunity to be as timeless as maybe our first is becoming, and maybe more so than our second and third are.
Yeah. And Beautiful People Will Ruin Your Life. Can you explain the title?
Yeah, I suppose it's a more interesting way of saying that the ones closest to you are the ones capable of doing the most damage. Or the ones you love are the most capable of doing the most damage, I guess.
Brilliant. Is that a lyric in one of the songs?
No. Neither the title or the what I just said is a lyric. Although
No.
although Beautiful People Will Ruin Your Life did start out life as a song. Then I realised it was a pretty crap song, so just kept the title.
Okay. Didn't morph into another song by any chance?
No, not that one. No. That stayed in its miserable cage for quite some time.
How do you find the songwriting process? Do you have to go through a lot of stuff that you just discard, or are you normally, once you hit on something, you sort of stick with it and you see it through to its end? Don't discard very much, basically. Is that
yeah, it's always like song titles or concepts for me. If I believe in the song title, I'm happy to pursue it, whether it takes 1 week to finish or a year, if there's something about it. But songwriting is endlessly frustrating. It's almost. I was reading a recent Keith Richards interview in the Wall Street Journal, and he was just talking about songwriting as though it's like a penance, and that he kind of, even at age 74, he's still waking up in the middle of the night to like jot down some nonsense lyric or a little melody line into his voice notes. So yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, I think.
Yeah. And we do love here on Juice. We've been playing Lemon to a Knife Fight quite a lot, and we love the title as well. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, I'd been watching kind of a lot of David Lynch, and my wife and I went for dinner near Venice Beach, and then we drove back, and we were driving along Mulholland Drive, and it was just this kind of epic scene at night, and I could see the brake lights in front of me, and she was just killing me about something that I'd done. I don't know what it was, but she was really screaming at me. And if you get into an argument with my wife, you definitely you don't really stand a chance. So that's that's where the song came from. I guess it's about
still causing you trauma, even.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
that's all right. I think plenty of us are in the same situation.
Same boat, yeah. There's a fairly large boat.
But the last song, I Don't Know Why I Like You, But I Do. Is that also about your wife?
No, that's not about my wife. Yeah, no.
Excellent. No. Okay, well, you're playing some dates. I haven't got my tour schedule up, but you're doing the UK, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm trying to think where the nearest show to you guys would be.
I expect you're doing some festivals, aren't you, this summer?
Yeah.
In fact, you're just about to hit the road again now, aren't you? At the end of this week, I think you're playing.
We're starting Sheffield.
Sheffield.
But we are going to be not too far from Brighton, I'm certain.
Well,
London. Well, London's not too far, I guess.
No,
for the UK.
Just up the road.
Yeah, we're doing Alexandra Palace on the 27th of March. We're also doing some festivals that I probably can't announce that are relatively near to Brighton as well.
Okay, no worries. And also Southampton at the end of March as well. Is that the end of this little UK jaunt? Yeah,
it is. That's the final jaunt.
And then off to Europe after that, or somewhere else?
I think I fly to Amsterdam the next day, and then we have a festival, and then it's another month slamming it around Europe.
Brighton's finest.
This is Juice.